Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. In this video, we're gonna show you how to make a slider pane using Onshape. We're gonna start off in the base of the slider pane. The next is the slider, handle pin, and the slider pin. After that, we're gonna do the assembly and the animation of our slider pane project. So let's start.
So take a look at the picture 1. Our first step is to make the base. So first check the measurement. It should be 150 by 150 millimeter and 35 millimeter thick. So let's start by changing the units. Just click the 3 lines icon, then select workspace units, then change it into millimeters. Let us now start the sketch. Use center point rectangle, then click at the center, then expand. Click the measurement shown, then put 150 millimeters both sides. If the lines are all black, it means that it is fully constrained, so click check button on the sketch. Right click again and then click isometric view. Click the extrude feature, then click top. Change blind into symmetric, then the depth should be 35 millimeters. After following the instruction, click the check button. As you can see, part 1 is now created. Let us go to the next step. Next step is to create the dovetail. As you can see at the picture, the dovetails go at the center of the block. It is 17.5 millimeters in depth, 25 millimeters wide, and 75 millimeters side angle. Now create a new sketch. Click the edge of the block. Right click, then view normal. Now, put a line, create a shape of the groove you want, then right click. If you're done creating the line, just right click then escape line. Use dimension tools and put 25 millimeters. Create an angle of 76 degrees. Click both sides, then click equal. Then, click point, select the center point of the groove, and then click coincident. Click at the center point of the groove and the center point of the block. Before extruding, let us first view isometric, then start. Let us now extrude. Click the extrude feature, click the profile where you create a sketch, then click remove, then click through all and accept. Let us now create another sketch. You can just copy the sketch 2, but if you want to create another one, then just do what we have done on the sketch 2. Just create another sketch on the other side of the base. Now, let's create an extrusion again. Just extrude the other side of the block, then remove, click through all, and accept. For you not to become confused, just hide the origin, top, front, and right plane. As we can see, we have now created the vase. Let us just round the corners, choose fillet, then select the outside edges of the base, then click accept. After accepting, all we have to do now is to rename and change it into base, then accept. We have now the base of the slider plane.
So for our slider, we are going to start with that new document, then draw a rock shape triangular with a dimension of width of 25 and the height of 25 also. Then with a side angle of 75 degrees. Then choose point, go to bottom line, and now click coincident at the midpoint at the circle. Then accept the sketch. Then for our step 2, we are now going to apply the extrude command. Make sure to click the opposite direction, change the depth into 50 mm. Then after you do that, you can now accept the sketch. For our step 3, we are going to create a hole in the top of the slider. Start with a new sketch and view normal. Choose center point circle. Click all the origin and in the side, make sure that it is in the center line. Also, make sure that the two projecting lines are intersecting. Start with a new hole with a dimension of 8 mm. And after you do that, you can now accept the sketch. So for our last step, is step 4. You should click the isometric view. Use extrude and click on the circle and remove the shaded part. Change the millimeter in 20 millimeter. After you do that, you can now accept the sketch. If you want to see the whole part of the final slider, you can click translucent. Now that our slider is finished, we are now going to rename this on the bottom part of the screen. This will be the slider.
Next, we will proceed on the handle. First step is to click the top view and select sketch. Use a corner rectangle and draw a rectangle which is 200 millimeter length and 18 millimeter width. The next step is placing the hole locations. We will use a center point circle and draw a circle, a tree circle, which is 8 millimeter hole. By use of dimensions, make sure each circle is 8 millimeter. The next one is the distance of circle is 12 millimeter. And from this point to the second point is 75 millimeter. And from the second point is 10 millimeter. And we will proceed to the next step, which is click the isometric and extrude. Put a 6 millimeter. That's all. And rename it on handle.
Hello, this is the fourth part of creating the slider plane. The first thing you have to do is to click the sketch. After that, click the top portion of the sketch plane and click View Normal. After that, use the center point circle at the origin. Diameter should be 8 millimeters. After that, accept the sketch. After that, choose Isometric View. Select the Extrude button and select the circle part of the sketch plane. Be mindful that the depth is 6 millimeters. After that, accept the sketch. After that, click the sketch button and click the top portion of the pin. Right-click in View Normal and choose the center point circle. After that, draw from the center point of the sketch. The diameter should be in 14 millimeters. After that, accept the sketch. After that, choose Isometric View. Click the Extrude button and click the outer and inner circle. It should be blind, add, and the depth must be in 25 millimeters. After that, accept sketch. After that, click the chamfer button and click the upper edge of the pin. It should have an equal distance of 2 millimeters. After that, accept the sketch. Now we're down to the last part, which is renaming the part studio. Right-click and choose Rename, then type Handle Pin.
Now we are going to proceed into making the slider pin. The slider pin is used especially for fastening things together or as a support. The slider pin that I will make has a diameter that is 8 millimeters, and the head portion of the pin has a diameter of 14 millimeters, while the height of the slider pin is 25 and the overall height is 29. The first thing that we need to do is to create a sketch of the half of the profile. We will start a new part studio by clicking on the sign located in the lower part corner, and then click on the Create Part Studio. Start a new sketch on the front plane, then right-click and View Normal to Sketch Plane. We need to create a center line. So first click the line and construction and then click on the origin. After, we will draw a vertical line for which we will set to 35 millimeters. After that, using the line command, I am going to draw half of the profile of the slider pin. As you can see, I created a closed region, and I will now put the dimensions. The first dimension is the length of the pin 25 and the overall length or overall height at 29. Next, if I click on this line and then the center line, it allows me to dimension the full diameter. In this case, it is 8 millimeters, so this is what I'm going to put. Then the diameter of the head is 14. And now we're done sketching the half of the profile of the slider pin. Click Accept. Next is using the Revolve feature. We need to select the faces to revolve. Select the profile that we just made, and then the revolve axis is going to be the center line. Click Accept. As you can see, we have already created the pin. The last step is to add the chamfer. Click on the chamfer feature, set 2 millimeters on the edge of revolve 1. Click Accept. This part is optional, but you can edit the appearance of the slider pin. Right-click and then click Edit Appearance. I selected the color that I like, then click Accept. So now the slider pin is finished.
In this video, we're going to start the process of assembly of our do nothing machine or slider plane. So I've opened our do nothing machine document, and in it, I find all the parts that my co-members made previously. Now, before we start the assembly process, let's change the appearance of every parts. Now, I'm going to open this assembly tab. And my first step is to start placing the parts, so I'll go up here and use insert on the toolbar. And it shows me all the parts that are in document. So we're gonna start by inserting the base, so I'll click that once. So you notice it instantly shows up in my assembly area. So click once to accept and place it, and because this is the base, I'm going to fix this in our assembly area, so it won't move around. So from here we can place other parts. So I know that I'll need one handle and place it here. We will need a handle pin and click again to place it. We'll need two sliders, so I'll click on the slider, put in one, and then put in a second one. Then the slider pins, I'll need one, and then I'll need the second one. With all of the parts in place, I'm going to choose the green check button, and we're now ready to start connecting our parts together using mate connectors. With all of the parts available, we're now going to start our assembly. Currently, all of the parts have the ability to move except for the base, which if I look over here in my part list, I can see that there is a small fixed icon that I put on there, so that part doesn't move. As we use our mate connectors, we will remove degrees of freedom from each part and create relationships. They generally are point-to-point connection. So we're going to use these first three connectors. So we have the fastened mate, revolute mate, and the slider mate. So let's start with the fasten mate. We're going to fasten the handle pin to the handle. So now, I'll click the mouse to put a mate connector at the bottom of the pin. Then, I'm going to find the top surface of the handle. And this, click the center of the hole. And that's it. That will make those two together, and this being fastened mate, so they will not move or rotate. And then let's go back to the isometric view. So the next step is we will place these slider parts into the groove where they need to slide. So obviously we will use slider mate. So I'm going to click the middle of that edge, and then go to the base, and I'm going to choose the mate connector that is right on the end of the edge of the groove. Then click the green check to accept that. So now we will use again the slider mate. So I will choose again the middle of that edge. And then the mate connector on this edge, and then accept that. So the next step, we're going to mate the whole of the top of the slot of each slider to the whole of the handle. So now we're going to use the revolute mate. So first I'm going to choose the mate at the top of the hole centered of the slider. And then choose the mate connector that is the centered bottom surface of the handle. And then click the green check. Now, we will connect the other revolute mate between the top surface of this slider and the bottom surface of the handle. So, I'm going to choose the center of that hole and the bottom center of the hole on the handle. So now, we will click the solve button and it put things box so that brings all of the mate connectors information together. And then we will accept this. So lastly, we're going to put the slider pins in place. I'm going to use the fasten mate and they are going to be fastened to the top surface. So click the mate in the center of that hole. And then click the mate on the bottom of the head center of the cylinder. And then we will do the same thing for the other pin. So I'm going to choose the fasten mate. Then I'm going to click the center of the top surface of that hole. And then click again the bottom of the head and at the middle of the cylinder. And then click the green check to accept that. And now, we are finished for our assembly process.
Since the do nothing machine is assembled, let's see the feature list of each parts. And then we're going to right click the Revolute one and choose the animate. When we click the animate, it will open the dialog box. The animation will allow us to view the motion of this revolute. You can see here that it animates one complete revolution at the speed of 300 steps. For the playback type, we can here choose the single, reciprocate, and loop. If we want to make it slower, we can add the steps, which can be 700 to make it slower, and then click play. We can see here that it plays slowly, and then we can change the steps. If we want to be faster, we can change the step into 100. And now it will move faster. And now, this will end our tutorial video on how to make a sliding plane project. Thank you so much for watching.